Welcome to Stitching with Cindy Botts. Today's project is using this panel to create a table runner. So, first thing I did, this is Debbie Mumm fabric. It's beautiful. I love her line of fabric. This panel was given to me, and I am going to use it to make the table runner, and then I'm going to free motion quilt my table runner. I am not the best at doing free motion quilting, so I want to keep this project low in cost, so I don't feel like I've ruined it or wrecked it with my inability to do perfect and far from perfect on the free motion quilting. So first thing I did was I chose which one of the Santas I wanted to use. I chose 2 Santas. Then I cut the Santa out. I did not use this Santa, even though I did like him, because when the panel was cut, or at some time before I got it, this was cut jagged. Now this Santa still can be used. You'll just have to I can use it just cutting in more, but I wanted this border for my Santas. So I cut out 2. I used the border that was here as a guide, and I cut at 1/4 inch around that border. So on my project, I still have a cute border. These are the Santas I chose. I chose this one and this one, and you can see it still has that nice decorative border. And where I chose to cut at 1/2 inch, I now have 1/4 inch because of the seam allowance. All right, so like I said, this panel and the coordinating fabric was given to me, and I chose to use just a white on the back. This is a tone on tone white, and I find that I can get it cheaper than some other fabrics. I use Marshall's dry goods, and I find that they're really great with their online orders and their prices. I like to get a 1 by 108 inch wide. You can get that for like under $10 a yard, and you're actually getting 2.5 to 3 yards of material for that price for backings. Now, some people would want the coordinating fabric on the back. That really is a choice that you need to make. And the reason, well, one reason that I choose to do the white is nobody sees it unless they flip it over. Now on a quilt, a lap quilt, a regular size quilt, people see that backing all the time. But on wall hanging, you have to actually go over to it and purposely look for it. So my feeling is, if you want to look at the back of my wall hangings, my table runners, go for it. It's just how I feel. I am retired. Like most people, I work on a budget for my sewing hobby, and it's just one way to keep the price low. The other thing that I've chosen to do is to use flannel in the middle. Now again, it's up to you if you want to use a batting. Again, I find that you can get flannel quite reasonable. Joann's has it on sale quite often, especially now around the holidays. You can get it for like $4 a yard, sometimes even less, and I find it's just so much cheaper than getting the other batting. But you may find that you get your batting cheaper some other way. So that's just my thoughts. So after cutting out my 2 Santas, I laid them on the bookshelf where I want this table runner to be, this shelf runner, and I measured the space that I'd need for in between the 2 Santas, and then I just cut the piece for that, the rectangular piece that would fit between them. Right size together, sewed the coordinating fabric to the panel square, on both ends, making sure the Santa's heads were pointing towards each other so that they would be feet to the ends. All right, then I sandwiched my backing so that the right side is facing out, the flannel, and then the top. And I use the 505 spray. I know there's other things on the market. There's some that you can sprinkle on and iron on. I personally have not had good luck with the sprinkling on, in that I don't like the over sprinkle. So if there's a way that I can get the sprinkle just to stay on my project, not be all over the table, I guess it's just how I'm using it that it doesn't work for me. But again, it might work great for you. It is sometimes available cheaper than the 505. Again, it's really a personal preference on the things that you use. So then I took and sewed, I went ahead, after I sprayed it, I pinned it. You don't want your pins too close together if you're going to do free motion quilting. You want them spaced enough to hold the material. Again, if you're using the spray and the pins, they don't have to be as close as if you were just doing pinning, but you do still want to pin it. And then again, I just did my free motion quilting. When you free motion quilting, you need to drop your feed dogs and change your foot to your free motion foot. There are a lot of videos out there, good videos on how to do free motion quilting. You can see here, by no means am I an expert. Look at how that just kind of went over. The thing with free motion quilting is there is a point where when you're sewing, you could be too slow, too fast, but then you hit the sweet spot. You're in the zone and it just feels right. The machine's doing wonderful and things go well. And I did have that happen a couple times. As you can see here, I think this section is really pretty good. There's another section over here where it's pretty good, except for the one spot here. Hi, Turtle. Here's little Turtle. She loves to explore while I'm doing these videos. Oh, hi. And again, if you use a really close matching thread, those mistakes aren't going to show up so much. Please try free motion quilting. It is so fun. The key is, like anything else worth doing, is practice. Table runners like this are a nice small project to do. You can get clearance material, clearance fabric that will lower the cost for things, pot holders, placemats, things like that are small projects and can be used and practical before you try a big project like a full quilt. All right, so then I just went ahead and did my binding. Now I had limited coordinating fabric. Usually I use a 2.5 inch strip. This time I used a 2-inch strip just so that I would have enough fabric. When I do my binding, I just fold the corner over and I stitch that part down, and then I go down a ways and then I start actually stitching the binding. When you come to a corner, the technique that I use is I come to the corner and I sew that down right up to that 1/4 inch mark here, and I fold it back. Let's see if I can show this. I fold that back and make like a come on now. There it goes. I have a pin in there because I wanted to make sure that spot is, oh, excuse me, come on, Turtle. Turtle. There she is. Okay, I have a pin in there because that spot, my width of fabric went less than 2 inches for some reason. I don't know why. Also, I wanted to show you how to make the joining of your fabric so you have one long strip for binding. So you go ahead up to that 1/4, you fold this back and just lay that down nice and continue sewing. So you have this nice fold here, and then you can trim this back when you fold that over and stitch it down. Now, turtle tail, when you fold this over, you want to cover up that raw edge, and you can hand stitch that down, or you can machine stitch it down. Again, if you're machine stitching it down, you want to use a nice matching thread so that it's not shown. So the reason that I do this edge this way is because now as my binding comes down and you're sewing that down, you just tuck it in there, fold that over and sew it down, and you have a nice ending with no raw edges, and it's not as bulky as just sewing a regular seam because it has this angle. All right, and you just tuck that in and finish sewing down your binding. So this is my Christmas table runner, and for the most part I am very happy with it. Definitely in a year or so, again, when I look at it, I will say, oh, this was one of my beginner pieces, and I've come so much farther. Hopefully I've done a lot more practice pieces, other small projects like this to improve the technique. And like anything, practice makes perfect. So happy stitching. Please like and subscribe. Enjoy your day, and hopefully we'll see you here again. Bye bye now.